Oh,
Yo, that was nice.
that was very cool.
I don't like the cut in between the two videos, but it is what it is.
Bravo.
Dude, that was great. I like it. Nice.
So yes, welcome back to Cover. Tonight, the Who's Tommy, as you saw there in my little intro. Back as always, highly a comic bro and Jim and Little Boat to discuss this rock opera. You know,
Donnie, you look a little lighter tonight. Something's different.
Oh my God, starting the show, I can't wait to see what comes next.
I was perplexed on this one, much like I was the first time I heard it many years ago. And the only reason I listened to it, like many albums, is because of this book and Rolling Stone 500. But
somebody dropped the ball on entry in the books, maybe.
Misprint.
Well,
typo.
This album to me is truly an album in its time. It's an album that was right for the time period.
Yeah.
It's the Who's fourth album, released May 17th, 1969. So it's got an anniversary, small anniversary coming up here in a couple months.
5 days before I was born.
5 days before you were born. That's the day before my wife's birthday. My wife's birthday is May 18th. Obviously, she wasn't. She was born 14 years later, but so it came out on Track Records in the UK and Decca in the US. It was recorded over a 6-month period, September of 68 to March of 69, at IBC London. Producer was Kit Lambert, who, it's my understanding, was their co-manager for the Who, and he was kind of like what was the Beatles manager? They always called
Martin.
Yeah,
Martin.
He was always like the silent fifth member. Well, that's kind of Kit Lambert. That's always how I understood Kit Lambert's role in the group. Was he had some input within the band. I mean, it was always their final say, but he was a contributor. As I said, this is truly an album of its time because it's not the first rock opera, but it's the second.
What was the first
right
one?
there?
Yeah, what's the first?
Hang on a minute. I read it earlier. It was. Where is it? The Pretty Things, SF Sorrow. They they released it, SF Sorrow, in 68. But this was a concept that Pete Townsend had been hashing around for quite a while. They had done many rock operas in the second album and the third album, The Who Sell Out. So it was something that he was trying to experiment with, shall we say, or he was trying to get past the 3-minute boundary that the pop singles had. So like AM radio, you couldn't have a song more than 3 minutes long, or they wouldn't play it. So he was trying to break past those limitations, and he did quite a bit of that with this.
Yes, he did.
It's definitely an exercise in experimentation, as far as, especially for 1969. Concept, rock opera. There was something that was in this book. I should have wrote it down. I didn't write it down. It said it all had to do with the previously inconceivable concept of maturity in rock and roll. So it's like basically saying that it had to do with the evolution of the genre.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of something that had to happen. I guess to contribute to
the evolution.
Right. Yeah.
Progress.
The progress.
The
Yeah.
progress.
But did it work?
At the time, it did.
At the time, it did. At the time, it was freaking massive. 200,000 copies in its first 2 weeks.
How much?
200,000 copies in its first 2 weeks. By August, it was released in May. By August of that year, it was certified gold with 500,000. And of course, obviously, by that time they had played Woodstock. They toured to support it, and they played Isle of Wight Festival in 69 and 70 in support of it, and Woodstock. There was another one, I can't think of it, but the
Monterey Pop. Did they play the Monterey Pop?
I don't know if it was in support of the album or if that was before they had recorded, but Monterey Pop did have some influence on the record.
Okay. Forgive me because I didn't do hardly any research. I had a busy week.
I didn't do my research till today.
Me too. Me too. And it wasn't a lot of research that I did.
I kind of did, because I was in an effort to, I read the article on that, and it was explaining a bunch of information that I really disagreed with. But I decided I was going to do a deep dive into it and read the lyrics as I listened to it.
Right.
And as I did that, the idea of this behemoth of Tommy as a concept, or the rock opera, it started to make sense. What it was, what was going on, and everything that went into it, because the band, the whole band as a whole, was 100% on board. They were completely focused on this. And it was, so it wasn't just a dream of Pete Townsend's. It was a huge collaborative effort between all four members. And
I don't know if that makes it better or if that makes it worse.
I'm not saying it makes it better.
I don't know if it does or if it makes it worse. I don't know.
It's in the eye of the beholder, I guess.
In the ear of the beholder.
Yeah, the ear of the beholder. One of the other things that about it is that it drew on a lot of Pete's experiences. Some of the various themes within it, violence and domestic violence and adultery and child abuse. He had actually suffered, and to a certain extent, Roger Daltrey as well had suffered through some of those experiences growing up, and so it's kind of a reflection of what they knew, what they experienced. Again, musically, it has a lot to offer. I think there's a lot there, but I was thinking, and I crunched the numbers because it's a double album, so you got 4 sides, and you get through the first 10 tracks. That's 41 minutes, and usually at 41 minutes, you're either done with an album or you're getting pretty close to the end of one. Yeah. With this one, you're kind of tired of the album. You haven't even hit the biggest song on the album yet.
I haven't even got to. Well, I take that back. Tonight on the drive home, we pretty much started the second half of the album. And forgive me, but I had not listened to the complete album yet.
You're gonna have.
I got about 3/4 of the way done, and I got home, and the one song took almost my whole trip. It was over 10 minutes long, musical. I told him, dude, just let's get to the songs.
Lots of instrumentals.
You're gonna have to forgive me too. I think you got further along than I did. I think, yeah. Didn't do the homework on this one. I just couldn't.
I think we got to about. I think there was about 6 songs left before the show started. I
can't even tell you how many songs. I think I might have got into 3, maybe 4 songs, and I was at the shop. I'm all by myself. I was just doing work on the computer, and I was like, dude, I can't anymore. I can't. And I just.
Well, that's the thing. I listened to Pandora, and I told you this, guys, before. If there was a discrepancy in one of the songs, it'll cut out, and it'll go back to the last station that I was listening to. So tonight was the 3rd time that I listened to the first half of the album, and it wasn't until on the way home from Riverview after Jeff right here dropped us off that I started listening to the second half. The second half, from what I heard, is a lot better than the first half. Okay. I will say that.
I agree with that.
I will say that.
With the exception of the first 2 songs. The first 2 songs are.
Yeah, you can get rid of the 10-minute instrumental.
So goddamn cringy.
But I did notice a trend in this album. There's so many songs. They sing the same song 12 different ways.
Dude, not joking. The same.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
If you listen to all of them, they all sound the same, just different lyrics and different instrumentals. The way it's sung is the same for most of the songs.
I don't know if that is the common thread that's supposed to weave through the album, because there's some of the songs you can Pinball Wizard, for instance, you can 100% listen to that by itself.
Oh yeah.
Overture. I really like Overture. That intro. Yeah, I think it's the tone of the record, and it feeds that thread, because you hear a lot of the elements that they put in Overture throughout the rest of the album.
Right. And like you said, musically, this album is on point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I didn't.
They're a talented group of guys, but they could have took the first half, the first record, put it in the garbage, and just the
I didn't
second
feel
half.
it. I didn't feel it.
I don't know.
Feel me.
But
Yeah,
I do. I'm interested. I don't know if any. I doubt any of you guys did, but I'm kind of interested in watching the movie and comparing it with the album. Also,
I did a
But
long
maybe-
time ago.
did you see it? Is the album visually what the album is like? What you hear? Can you know what I'm saying?
I think so. The way they performed it,
Kind of
and
like Pink Floyd, The Wall. You know?
I think that's the big thing of it is it's a rock opera, and that is what it's designed for. It's designed for a musical. For all intents and purposes, it's a musical. And if you watch the movie and you see everything played out, it makes sense. You get the full story. And that's, I think, reaching back. Now I saw it over 20 years ago, but when I did the deep dive and read the lyrics as I was listening to it, I was like, okay, I remember these scenes. I remember all this happening.
Is it in order? Do
Like
you
that.
remember if it's in order to the
Oh
album?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They tell it, because the overture at the beginning is all about Tommy's father, who was away at war, and while he was away at war, his mother had an affair, and father comes home from the war, and he kills the lover in front of Tommy, and she says, you didn't see anything, you don't say anything, and it caused him to shut down, and it just, the whole movie escalates from there and up to where he's in front of the mirror, and then she smashes the mirror. When she smashes the mirror, it breaks him out of this catatonic state. And it if you watch the movie, again, it doesn't make it better, but if you watch the movie,
It'll help
it makes the album make more sense.
Yeah, I had a gist of the story, and from what I heard, it sounds like it's a good story, but it gets boring.
Too long.
Yeah.
It is that's the problem. It's too
boring.
There's 24 songs.
It's boring.
Yeah.
Bo, you made the comment about the wall, and that's what I took from it too. Did this influence Roger Waters to make the wall? Because it's kind of like the same thing, right? It's their childhood. It starts off, and it's just
I mean, there is similarities there as far as musically and lyrically, I guess.
Yeah, because some of the walls, I freaking love Pink Floyd, but
it's dark.
It's dark, and there's some rough.
Mm-hmm.
It is very dark, and it has adultery. It has the father not coming back from the war. It's got a lot of the same themes. But that's what I took from it. I wonder if this influenced Roger Waters in making the wall. That's what I was wondering. And if you got, and I guess you guys, well, at least you, Bo, you felt the same way because you got the same impression for some.
Absolutely, yeah.
I didn't really read up on that, but it makes a lot of sense. One thing it said in this book is the correlation to Sgt. Pepper.
And Pet Sounds.
How Sgt. Pepper changed the friggin' landscape of everything. And it said, surely the Who's Tommy was one of the most challenging opuses to appear in its wake. And I would agree with that. I would also I was going to say it earlier and I forgot. relating this to Pet Sounds as far as the ground-breaking styles and motifs and stuff that they used, pushing the boundary of the music evolving.
Right.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
No. Oh, the other thing was Pete wanted to be able to transfer the studio output into the live show, and some bands weren't able to do that, but The Who was able to transfer that atmosphere of this album from the studio to the live show, and that was part of what was making it so successful at the time, is they were able to perform this in front of a live audience. And at the time, it could have been drugs, maybe, who knows, but
that would probably be my best guess to keep everybody there for that long.
Right.
Because honestly, all joking aside, like if you were baked, I bet this album was awesome.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
I don't know how much of the album. I don't know if they performed the entire 24 tracks. I mean, that's 75 minutes, and you're not playing any of your big standards like My Generation or anything. It's like, I have Live at Leeds, so they didn't do that in Live at Leeds. Great live album, by the way. What's up, Don Dizzle?
Are you guys Who fans?
Yes.
There's some of the stuff I like, but I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a Who fan,
To be honest, this is my first time listening to a full length Who album.
Speak up, boys.
Sorry.
I heard him, but
I heard him too.
That's a bad first impression.
It is.
I'm not the biggest Who fan, but there are a ton of their songs that I do like.
Absolutely.
Eminence Front is one of my all-time favorite songs. I freaking love that song. I like I don't know what the name of the album, but the album with You Better You Bet, Another Tricky Day. I those songs jam. But this album, man, I just could not get into it. Could not.
I think You Better You Bet is on the last album with Keith Moon, but I'm not positive.
I don't remember.
I think it's towards the end there.
Now, is any of their other albums on this list because I would hope so.
I think Who's Next is on here. Yeah. And that is a phenomenal album. That's the album after this.
Okay.
And Little Boat, that's the one you should have started with. I don't know where it's at, and I think it's in the top 20. I'd have to do a look here. The Wall's number 18.
And this is what number?
This is number 77 on this list.
Okay.
Number 28.
Who's next?
Who's Next?
And that's their highest charting one?
The
highest one on this list, I mean.
Oh. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I think that one and Tommy. Well, no, I think Quadrophenia is on here too. But
okay.
But Roger Daltrey, he was quoted as saying that that Townsend would bring them unfinished demos into the studio, and then they'd spend the rest of recording time hashing everything out, sorting out the arrangements. He said that they honestly did more talking than they did producing a record because it was such a broad scope and immense undertaking that they did. It's something that I read compared it to some of Wagner's stuff, like the classical works, the big, broad stroke. I can't think of the word I'm looking for.
All right. Let's. Well, what's up with the cover?
Well, let me share that.
It's like a grate, like a storm drain or something.
Yeah,
or a microphone. Close up of a microphone or
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Well, there's like clouds on it, and it's weird.
Bird.
Yeah, it's got the clouds and the birds. Said about the fist.
It's I would say it's a pinball, but a pinball isn't.
Yeah, holes in
it. Where's that at? Up here. Mike McInerney did it, and there was some influences of the Meher Baba. He was like an Indian spiritual monk or whatever. Townsend had been leaning on some of his teachings, and this McInerney was a follower of this gentleman, and it described the finished cover contained a blue and white web of clouds and a fist punching into the black void to the left, which is this
right there.
Right there. The inner triptych, which I don't have any idea what that means, showed a hand reaching out, and I couldn't find a picture of that. But it was a hand reaching out to the light and a light shining in a dark void. Now, how this correlates to the album, I have no clue. I mean, none of it makes any sense to me. But what I thought was cool was that in the small spaces here, they put the band members. There you can visibly see Ox. But it looks like they're reaching out, like it's kind of emulating the fact that he can't see, that the character Tommy can't see.
It also looks like it's mirrored right down the middle.
So Tommy can't see, but he asked him if he can hear him.
Yeah.
Well, he's deaf, isn't he?
Is he deaf too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a deaf, dumb, blind kid.
Yep.
Okay.
And he sure plays a mean pinball.
How the hell?
Yeah.
Deaf, dumb, blind kid sure plays a mean pin. That's probably the best line in the whole album. I'm guessing.
What's her name? The woman.
A woman.
Helen Keller.
Yeah.
Helen Keller. Yeah.
Helen Keller.
That's what I'm thinking of. Helen Keller.
There's the more backstory to the record is the fact that they're, as far as hits, they were starting to wane a little bit, and the only way they were able to maintain their status or I don't want to say keep up with because it was a detriment in the way they did it, but their explosive live shows of Pete Townsend smashing the guitar or Keith Moon destroying the drums, or that kept throwing them further and further into debt. And it was to the point where the company that Keith got the drum sets from wouldn't loan them out to him anymore because they come back to him destroyed.
Right.
And so they ended up one of the roadies had a drum set, and that's how they recorded the album. And coincidentally, they were on the verge, because of all this, they were on the verge of breaking up. So this being what it was, or what it is, what it was, and the success that it yielded saved them as a band. The success of it hit number 2 in the UK, peaked at first in '69 at number 7 in the US, and then in '70 it went on and peaked again at number 4. Like I said, 200,000 copies in the first 2 weeks. I call that pretty successful.
Donnie, what were the big singles off of this album?
The singles were, excuse me,
Pinball Wizard, I imagine, is one.
Pinball Wizard. I'm Free with the B-side of We're Not Going to Take It, which is the album closer. And then See Me, Feel Me, with Overture being the B-side to that. So not that it did have a lot to do with it, but I'm going to say Pinball Wizard was very influential in selling the album. I'm also gonna say that there was a lot of. Have you heard the new Who album yet? Have you heard it yet? You know, it's different.
There was a lot of word of mouth on it.
Yeah, I would say there was a lot of, it's different. Check it out. So people would go and buy it, and that's probably what promoted the success. That and the fact that they toured very heavily in support of it. Pinball was a top 20 hit in the U.S. And I was looking for U.S. record sales, but it doesn't have any. UK, it sold 250,000 copies as a single.
I'm curious on how much drugs played a role in album sales in '68 to like '74.
Dude, a lot, bro. A lot. All through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s.
Because like I said before, man, I mean,
even now,
if you get baked, and you want to put an album on, you want to put on a long album.
But even now, dude, drugs is like the driving force of music, especially rock and all that.
Yeah,
it's a whole different experience. It really is. When you hear it, and you're sober or whatever, even if it's just drinking that you're doing, and you hear the music, it's I hate to say it, but drugs and liquor, it just enhances the music.
It does.
You hear things, you focus on different instruments. Every single
Mhm.
you hear the same song, let's say 5 times, and each time you hear it, you're gonna focus on a different instrument at a different time in the song, and it's just, oh my god, I never heard that, and you just did. You just heard that same song, but it's a different experience every time, man. It's yeah, drugs are a big part of it, of music. It just is.
And I mean, I don't know if it's just a perfect time, perfect place for an album like this, but this album ain't no Wall, it ain't no Sergeant Pepper, it ain't no Bat Out of Hell.
Mm-mm.
I don't know if it's just a time and place thing, and I don't know if Pinball Wizard could carry, the whole album.
Bo, exactly, right? How can those? That's why I asked the question about the singles,
Mhm.
and that's what I was thinking. Is like, how did those 3 songs carry this album to those sales, to a musical, to an opera, to a
One of
movie,
the greatest of all time.
to a movie, and
Yeah.
I just don't see that.
I mean, I could understand the movie aspect of it because that's just another way of interpreting the album.
Right.
But to project it to one of the top greatest albums of all times, I don't understand, because I mean, it may be good, but it ain't that good
Right.
Exactly.
And yet,
to be on a list like that.
Yeah.
my take is that, like I said, it's an album of its time, and if you think about what people were thinking about, how people were perceiving things in '69,
Attention spans, maybe, were
And-
greater back
right.
then, right?
Could be, but at the same time too, some of the songs were like deep. It's like
Mm-hmm.
when we started the second half on the way home, I'm like, I'm listening to a guy singing about being a pederast.
Yeah.
I mean,
Didn't Townsend have issues with that later on in his life?
yeah, he got in trouble himself.
He got in trouble for that, right?
Well,
And
he was molested when he was young.
Right, and isn't that like a recurring thing?
Mm.
I don't wish that on anybody, but
even like I said, even as deep as the lyrics and some of the songs were, it's like, I don't know. Even to me back then, was that like, what was that like in '69? That hearing that,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
because it's even hard listening to now. As far as listening to, sounds like I'm listening to the ice cream man or the candy man trying to lure me into his van.
yeah. Excuse me, miss. Can you help me get this in the van? I broke my arm and I can't get it in.
Would you like some candy, little boy?
oh my God.
It's just, man, I don't know how those songs carried this album to those numbers. And even like listening, because remember back then people would get the album, everybody would go to the house, somebody's friend's house, and you would listen to the whole album.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. This is not an easy album to get through.
No.
The thing is, a lot of times when we were listening to it in the car, we found ourselves talking over the whole album. Like, it's like background music. It's not.
Yeah.
That's how I was in the shop. I was just doing my job, and then it's like, oh shit! Oh god, I'm done with this. And
It's definitely good for being a background soundtrack,
But it's not like background music the way Straight to Hell was. Like, that's like chill kinda.
right.
This is just like, who cares? Throw something on.
Man, you just nailed it. That's my sentiment. Sentiment. I don't care. I don't care. I was telling my wife before the show, "What's up, G?" And I was like, "I don't care. I don't care about this album. I don't care. I just don't. I did."
Yeah. I felt the same way.
And that's the thing with me is like I went through the first half of the album 3 times before I was able to get to the.
You're a saint. You're a saint.
And like he said, by the time you're done with the first album, I'm tired. I'm done. I'm spent. Thank God that there was a clause. There was a clause in the
an intermission. There's an intermission.
There was a clause where it kicked me out of Pandora and went back to my recent, station I was on.
And it got to the point where it was so boring. Driving, I was surprised I didn't fall asleep at the wheel.
Like this.
Yeah.
10 minute song on a dark road, man.
I mean, I have it. And before this week, I might have listened to it once.
It's not something you go back to, right?
It's not.
Nope.
You listen to it, you get the gist of it.
Nope.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I think the three of us have been on a complete agreement to a dislike of an album.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us back to the question: how did this album get to the place that it's at?
I can understand Pet Sounds because it had more than
Pet Sounds had more to offer.
It definitely
one song,
and you could get through it,
mm-hmm.
the whole album, and say, okay, there's a couple good songs. This, it's like, it's too long, man.
Even I hate to say it, even Whitesnake, bro, it had the Still of the Night, and
it did. And
No.
And even the ballads were made. I like those ballads when they first came out. I'm more tired of hearing those songs more than anything. It doesn't mean they're bad songs. I was just tired of hearing those songs because you hear them all the time, even to this day. But
which is an album of its time,
right?
It was big at the time because that was the thing. Just like
right.
I think how this was, it was big at the time because it was different and I don't know, drugs or what, but I don't know.
It's okay.
I found this other thing. It says Tommy was important for 2 reasons. It established Townsend as one of the major rock composers of the day, and it helped expand the possibilities of what could be done in the name of rock album making. So it's a lot of
that's true.
That sounds.
I agree with that.
Goes back to what they were able to do in the studio, and combine that with the ability to transfer it to the live experience.
The concept. Right.
I agree with that. I agree with all that, but it doesn't make it.
It doesn't make it better.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't make it the greatest album.
No.
It's like Donnie. You own it, and it's like you're sitting around the house. Honey.
Obviously not, because there's 76 other albums in front of it.
That's true.
On this.
But Donnie, you don't sit around the house and it's like, honey, you know what? Let me put in freaking Tommy, man.
No.
Let's just chill to Tommy.
I don't understand how we went from Master Puppets to this. I really don't.
Hey,
I picked it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say your dad picked it. Hey,
I'm sorry, Charlie Murphy.
It's so bad. Look what albums in front of ahead of it.
Oh no!
Got like 40 albums.
Do you like that album? Do you like Boston, Vote?
I don't like Boston. I don't really care for any band that's named after a state or a city.
I'm not a Boston fan. Kansas?
Not Kansas. None of that.
You're a big Journey fan, though.
Oof.
What about Loverboy? You like Loverboy?
Yeah.
Dude, I saw Loverboy in concert. There was actually.
I love Loverboy.
I like. Dude, it's not the. Everybody's working for the week. No, Turn Me Loose.
Turn Me Loose, the bass line.
Dude, what a jam, dude. What a jam. I like that. Yeah, I like Loverboy.
The Kid Is Hot Tonight. I
Kid
think
Is Hot.
that's off the first album. I
Dude,
think.
that's a jam too, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I gotta stop yelling. Why am I yelling?
Mhm.
I could hear my echo. Oh my god. I'll stop.
All right, so I don't know about you guys, but I think I don't want to beat a dead horse because
Yeah.
I'm not very enthusiastic about it. That's for sure.
Yeah. If you guys what? If you guys say the boss, I will throw up.
The boss.
No, it's the boss.
What about him?
Springsteen. Oh, G loves Bruce Springsteen, bro.
Oh, okay.
He's a huge Springsteen fan.
Oh yeah.
I like Springsteen.
G hates the boss, bro.
That's gonna be the new.
Yes, you need to save that.
Oh, man.
I had an ex supervisor who that was his favorite artist.
The
Bruce
boss.
Springsteen.
Oh, dude, he's super popular, man. People love him. I like a few songs, but I'm not the biggest either.
I like the stuff before Born in the USA.
Okay.
Like,
I like individual
his
songs.
first two records.
I like a few individual songs. Like what's the one where? Oh my god.
In the streets of Philadelphia.
I like that song. I like what's the? Oh my god. Okay, go on. I can't remember. The
Anyway.
song.
I'm on fire.
I like that.
Anyway, did we want to talk about any songs that stuck out for us that we liked? I had moments other than Pinball Wizard. There was moments in songs that I
agree. The Tom Drummond Christmas was pretty good. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
That's probably, other than Pinball Wizard, that was like the only.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't get to hear much of the second half, but the first half, Overture, was all right. Amazing Journey was all right.
I think there was one song that was 13 seconds long, and I think that was my favorite because it caused the least amount of pain.
Well said.
Sensation. It wasn't Sensation. No,
that was a 10-minute long one. Yeah, dude.
Towards the end.
That's it. Miracle Crew. That
Miracle
was
Cure.
long.
Yeah.
I like the phrasing in Pinball Wizard, like when he goes, that dumb blonde kid, so plays me pinball. I like the phrasing in that. Dun, dun, dun. I've always
I didn't get to hear "We're Not Gonna Take It." Anything have to do with Twisted Sister on that one?
No. No, that song is more where the story as a whole it culminates in that song.
Okay.
After he snaps out of it after his mother breaks the mirror, he basically forms a cult, and by the end of it, his followers see through his bullshit, and that's we're not going to take it. We're freaking out of here.
Definitely a lot in common with The Wall. It sounds like
it does. That's the impression I got.
All right. So there you have it. The Who's Tommy. An album of its time, just not our time.
not his time.
No. I'm going to close that out.
Please.
I'm bringing up the wheel.
Let's do it, bro. Please.
There's only one Bob Dylan.
That's all I'm gonna say.
One Bob Dylan's at all.
Johnny's in the basement mixing up some medicine. Yeah.
Yes.
Mr.
Ding,
Robert
ding.
G. Gonna sing Robert G. Yeah.
What do you mean, ding ding? I'm confused.
Ding ding.
Ding ding. Ding ding dang dang and dong dong.
Ding 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 dong dong ding dong.
Who wrote the book of love?
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Come on, big money, big
Spin the
money. No
wheel.
whammies, no whammies, no whammies, and stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Whoa.
something good for one.
Good.
Over.
Let's go. Dude, I'm excited.
Now we're excited.
I'll wash out the diarrhea festival.
Yes. Revolver.
All right.
I'm excited.
So, next episode, the Beatles Revolver. Basically, a turning that pivotal point. Some people say Rubber Soul, others say Revolver.
Who picked Revolver?
Revolver was picked by. Oh no, it's in here. Nick's Kicks and Comics.
Cool.
All right.
Nick.
Way to go, Nick.
So I'm going to reach out to Nick and send him some books. So next episode, Beatles Revolver, and we'll put this album tonight behind us,
Yeah.
far behind us.
Back to 69 you go. Back to 69 you go.
69.
Back to the House of Pain.
All right. Thank you to Jim and Little Boat and Hylia for always. This was a tough one, but for always making this a great show. And thank you to everybody who popped in and who watches it on the rewind. G-Man popping in. It's always good to see you, man. Jim and Don Dizzle. And hello. How are you? Somebody new.
Is there anybody out there?
I hope you join us the next time. In the meantime, get out there and listen to some music.